What is God like? Genesis chapter 32. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp." So he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, instructing them, "Thus you'll say to my lord Esau, thus says your servant Jacob, I have journeyed with Laban and stayed until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, male servants, female servants. I have sent to tell my lord in order that I might find favor in your sight." And the messengers returned to Jacob saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he's coming out to meet you, and there are 400 men with him." Well, then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people who were with him and the flocks and herds and camels into two camps, thinking, if Esau comes to one camp and attacks it, then the camp that is left will escape. And Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do good. I am not worthy of the least of the deeds of the steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you've shown to your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for the multitude." So he stayed there that night. And from what he had with him, he took a present for his brother Esau. 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their calves, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. These he handed over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Pass on ahead of me and put a space between drove and drove." And he instructed the first, "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, 'To whom do you belong? Where are you going? And whose are these ahead of you?' then you shall say, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a present to my lord Esau, and moreover, he is behind us.'" He likewise instructed the second and the third and all who followed the droves, "You shall say the same thing to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, moreover, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he thought, I may appease him with the present that goes ahead of me, and afterward I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me." So the present passed on ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. The next night, or the same night, he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female camels, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and everything else that he had, and Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket. Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day is broken." But Jacob says, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." But he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you asked my name?" And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered." The sun rose upon him, and as he passed Penuel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, this day the people of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh. What is God like? He is the God of great transformation of life. Jacob is on his way home after 20 years. He's sort of thinking about who's going to greet him at the door when he gets home. And he finds out Esau is coming out to meet him. And he's afraid because he knows Esau is going to call him a liar, a cheater, a deceiver. And he now understands what that means because he's suffered the same abuse at the hands of Laban for 20 years. The cheater, the deceiver, the liar, Laban. And Jacob feels awful. In fact, he starts praying to God and he says, "I am not worthy of your love, your faithfulness, of all this material goods that you've given me." And Jacob decides to send some presents to Esau, and he sends some huge presents. Never seen Christmas presents like these. They're huge. He's trying to apologize. He's trying to ask forgiveness. He's trying to make peace. And then Jacob gets all by himself with God. And he wrestles with God. He wrestles all night. He wants to change. He asks God to bless him. He's tired of being Jacob. He's tired of being known as the selfish, lying, cheater, backstabbing Jacob. And so he asks God to change him. So God knocks him on the hip and changes him. He's no longer called Jacob the cheater. He's called Israel, one who strives with God. And he limps into camp the next morning, and his family sees the difference. God can change you and me too if we will ask him to bless us, if we'll throw out that old way of living and ask him to change us, to make us a brand new person. God can transform our lives if we will strive with God, if we'll ask for his blessing. He can remove the sin from our lives.